Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got another Amazon Tech Haul to do today, our third one. I know how much you all enjoyed the last two, so I've been out looking for interesting little tech doodads and gadgets that we can talk about today, and there's some wacky stuff in the box this time as well. And we're going to get into this in just a second, but I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that all of this stuff came in free of charge through the Amazon Vine program. However, I have not had any direct contact with any of the manufacturers who sent this stuff to the channel. This is not a sponsored review, and no one is reviewing or approving what you're about to see before it was uploaded, so all of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. So let's get into it now and see what's in the box. All right, so let's start off with probably the biggest item here. This one's kind of unexpected because typically when we think about Cherry for keyboards, we think about premium mechanical switched keyboards. But did you know that Cherry also makes less expensive stuff, and this is their KW3000 wireless keyboard. It is very reasonably priced, and it is, I believe, a membrane keyboard, so it's not going to have any of those clicky mechanical keys, but if you like Cherry quality, you will get it here. Yeah, it's definitely a membrane keyboard. The keys are definitely a bit spongy, yet springy at the same time. It doesn't feel bad for a membrane keyboard. But certainly lacks the clickiness that you would experience with your normal keyboard. It's very lightweight. The keys are very quiet because this is a membrane keyboard, and it does have the Cherry brand name there. So if you like their quality and want something less expensive, you can find it here. On the back here, it looks like we've got some feet that can open up here. One thing I am noticing on the feet is that the feet don't have any rubber on the back of them, so it's a little bit more slippery than it will be when it is flat because you do have some rubber here to kind of give it some traction. Under this panel, it looks like this is where the batteries go. It uses a AAA battery. I believe that's what it is. Yeah, AAA battery. And it looks as though batteries are included. You get your dongle here, which is necessary. This is not a Bluetooth wireless keyboard. And it has the AAA battery here in the box. So this is not a rechargeable keyboard, although you could get rechargeable AAAs to use it with. So all in, not bad for a cheap keyboard. It definitely feels like a cheap membrane keyboard, but a little higher quality than some of the generic ones you might typically see. And this one is the Cherry KW3000 from Cherry. Let's move on now to the next item. All right, next up here, we got a couple of chargers. We're going to start with this one. This is the 3-in-1 folding magnetic wireless charging station. And I've been seeing a lot of these advertised on various social media sites where you can get one of these compact wireless chargers. Now, what's neat about this one, and we'll open up everything else in the box here, is that first of all, you actually get the charger. Lately, we've been getting these things without the charging mechanism. Now, this one has a detachable battery pack. So if you want to go on the road, you take the battery with you, and it's a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. So that should be good for charging your phone up a few times. And check it out, it's actually got a little stand on here. Well, that's pretty cool. And let me grab my iPhone, and let's put it over on top of the charger just to see how it holds up. Now, I've got the new one, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and although it does kind of scrape the floor, it is able to get on there. I think we have to turn the battery on here for it to start charging. But it's pretty cool. It's got like a nice little stand on it, so it can work as a travel stand. And I think I just turned it on. Maybe it might be dead. It might need to charge itself. But the phone does seem to fit on there, and it's not popping off, so that's good. And then what's neat about this also is that it's got the Apple Watch charger built into this. So what you do normally at your desk is you've got the phone on the charger like that, and then you've got your Apple Watch kind of hanging up off of here, and then you can put your AirPods over here, which is cool. So I'm going to plug this into power real quick and make sure all this stuff works. All right, so if you look on the back here, we've got a charging pad for our AirPods, and there they go. Those have lit up and have started charging. And because these are all Qi chargers, you could also charge a phone in the back here too. So if I position my phone in the right spot, there it goes, it will actually charge off the rear one too. So this is not just an Apple thing, although it looks like they kind of designed this for Apple. And then you have your Apple Watch charger here. So let's extend that out. And let's put my watch down on top. And it should start charging. Yep, there it goes. So that's good. And then we'll switch to our front view here and place the phone on top here. And it looks like it kind of locks in with MagSafe. So that is charging. And if I turn the phone to the side, I can make use of those new cool clock features that they've got now on the iPhone when it is in this horizontal orientation. So all in, pretty cool stuff. Everything appears to be charging. So yeah, it kind of works as advertised. And then when you want to hit the road, you can take the battery portion off here, and you can use this as a portable nightstand when you're on the road. Good stuff. And just a quick note on the front charger here, it'll provide 15 watts of Qi power for phones that require that much. All right, here's another one. Now this one doesn't have a battery, but it's still a 3-in-1 charger, and it folds up, as you can see here. And this one also gives you the power brick, although this one is just a USB-A. So I'm not sure how much power this one is going to provide. It looks like it's only 10 watts on this one. So if you have a 15-watt phone, this one's going to be out of the question. But they call this one 3-in-1 wireless charger, and it does not have a battery. So this is just a little charging station, but it does have your 3 things there. So let's get the power going to it, and we'll kind of repeat our last experiment. So we'll begin with my Apple Watch here at the top. Let's see if that charges. And there we go. We've got a charge going to that. And then I will put my phone on, oops, sorry for that squeaky noise there. I'll put my phone here on the front, and it looks like that is starting to charge. And let's take my AirPods and put them down here. It's got a little recessed area for the AirPods, and that is charging as well. And what I want to check here is just seeing if the phone can charge off of that too. So let's get that positioned like we did before. And yep, it is a Qi charger in the back there as well. So this one will charge, but not give you as much off of that front charger as some phones require. So again, 10 watts on the phone side, not 15. So just keep that in mind. But nice alternative if you don't need the battery and you want something convenient for traveling. Now on our charging topic, this next little cable might be useful if you've got the 2nd generation Apple Pencil like I have here. Because typically to charge this pencil, you have to leave it attached to your iPad where it magnetically docks and then it gets charged. But I always forget to take it with me, and whenever I pick it up, the battery's dead. So I found this little cable, which apparently will charge your 2nd generation Apple Pencil without having to plug it into the iPad. So I'm just going to plug it into a USB power source here. The cable is not very long, and let's attach my pencil to it. And I have no way of knowing if this light actually indicates that it's charging. I'm assuming it does, because remember, the Apple Pencil doesn't have any lights on it at all. But it does appear to be blinking, and it does appear to have started blinking when I plugged it in. So I will let this charge. If for some reason it doesn't charge my Apple Pencil fully, I will let you know. But this might be a more convenient way to charge your Apple Pencil if you're not using it all that frequently. Now this next one is one of the more wackier ones that I was talking about, and my kids already took it out of the box. This is a Poppit game, but an electronic Poppit game. So you ever seen those rubber Poppets that they play around with? Well, this one has a couple of different game modes. So we're going to turn it on here and start with the basic mode, which is what they call level mode. And it has a very bad English speaking narrator to kind of tell you what's going on. But this is the first game mode where you basically just push the Poppets that light up. And every time you go through around here, you push this part on the bottom to go to the next pattern of lights. But they have a couple of different modes on this as well. So this one is called memorizing mode, which is similar to Simon Says. So if I follow the pattern here, I have to remember what it is and push the Poppets accordingly. And it's got a couple of other modes on it as well. For me, this is not my kind of thing, but my kids are really enjoying this one. So there you go. If you like Poppets and you like electronic Simon games, this might do it for you. Now, in our last haul video, we took a look at an alternative Apple AirTag that was compatible with the Apple Find My network, and it cost a little bit less than an AirTag, but not considerably so. This is a lot less expensive than an AirTag because they sell them in packs of 2. This is called the Ayato Luggage Companion, and this is designed to work with Apple devices using the Find My network. And these are pretty tiny, as you can see here. Not as high quality as an AirTag, but if you were looking for some less expensive ones, this one might be something to consider. And what I'm going to do here real quick is just consult the instructions, and let's see if it will pair up with my phone and show up like an Apple AirTag device. All right, so the way these things pair up is that they are considered an other item. So when you hit the plus button here, you have to click on other item and not AirTag, because these are a compatible device but not an actual Apple device. Let me hit the other item here, and what it's going to do is now search for the tag. And here we go, B1 it is found. We're going to click on connect, and I'm going to call this one extra baggage. And we'll give it the poop icon here. And we'll agree to that, and we're done. And it beeped. So we are ready to go here. And this appears as though it is fully compatible with the Apple Find My network, yet they are a lot less expensive. Now, the battery on these is like your standard little watch battery, so you'll have to replace these every once in a while, but the good news is it is replaceable. And I would expect the battery life to probably be similar to what you would get out of the Apple version. I'll pop it open here. So it uses a CR2032. So you can replace the battery on these and keep on going. And remember, this is only going to work with the Apple Find My network, not any of the other ones out there. All right, this next one looks rather interesting to me. This is a pretty low-cost HDMI extender. And what it consists of here is a transmitter and a receiver. And what it does is it lets you take an HDMI source right here on the input, and it will then send that HDMI through a regular Ethernet cable to the other unit. And what's neat is that the other unit doesn't need a power supply, because along with the video, it's sending power for the receiver. And then on the transmitter, you also have an output. So you could have a monitor closer to you showing the output from the output here, but then of course also send the video down the line to the other one. And these usually go about the max length of Ethernet cable, which is about 300 feet or so. Now this is 1080p only with a maximum frame rate of 60 frames per second. Additionally, it does support HDCP copy protected material, provided both the transmitting unit and the receiving unit support that. So it does have some flexibility for playing media and other stuff. So what I want to do now is do like an on-the-desk experiment here. As you can see, I've got a monitor set up here. I've got about 50 feet or so of Ethernet cable, and I figured to test the input latency, which these things typically don't do too well with typically, we'll hook up one of my FPGA game consoles here and see if we can actually play a video game through the extender. So let me get this all hooked up and we'll see how well it works. All right, so we got everything hooked up right now. We've got the image coming out of my little Mega SD console here over to the extender via HDMI. That video is going out over the Ethernet cable and coming into the receiving unit here, which is what is plugged into my monitor. And to my surprise, the input lag here is not as bad as I expected. I have used these systems in the past, and I found even with the TV remote control that things are really delayed. But here, it's not bad. The game is playable. I did run my test a little bit earlier using my iPad, where we shoot the screen at 240 frames per second and see exactly how long it takes for the button push to get registered on screen. And with this monitor, I'm looking at about double its usual input latency, but it's under 100 milliseconds. So although it's not as good as a direct connection, it is much better than I've seen out of some of these Cat 5 extenders that I've played with in the past. So although I would not recommend this for hardcore gaming tournaments, it's actually functional, and you get pretty close to real-time feedback as you are playing around with stuff. And I like to use these FPGA consoles because they use the original controllers here without any crazy USB controllers in the way, so you get a very good feel for what the absolute input lag of these devices might be. All right, our last one here is definitely a wacky one. This is called the HaoPaPa video game system. I have no idea what awaits for us here, so we will open it up and see. It looks like an 80s style boombox, and I don't know which color they sent to me, because none of them are checked off, but we'll see what we've got. So first up, we've got our operating manual, which tells us how to hook up our HaoPaPa, and here it is. It's like a flat panel 80s boombox, complete with handle here. It feels as cheap as it looks. This is all just printed on here. It's got 2 controller inputs. They look like Atari 2600 inputs, but none of these things actually do anything, although it looks like the on-off switch works up here. And then it's got a Type-C port, an HDMI output, and an SD card that is already inserted. It looks like a 512 megabyte card. Have you ever seen something like that? So pretty low-powered device here. The antenna does not come up, obviously, because this is not a radio. And then it's got a storage box here in the back, which just stores whatever you want to put in there. So there's not much, not much to this. All right, so that's the first part of it. So there's your HaoPaPa video game system. We'll put that aside for a second. Now, also in the box, they give you 2 controllers. These are 9P5 type plug, high quality, fast synchronization. And it looks like this probably would work on an Atari maybe. So these look like Super NES style controllers. And it doesn't feel all that great. It actually feels pretty terrible. And we also have a second controller here. So 2 of them in the box. And a USB power source. And then an HDMI cable along with a USB power cable. So there you go. All right, we got to get this thing hooked up and see what it's all about. Apparently, it has 365 HD games on board, and hopefully none of them are a copyright violation. Let's take a look. All right, so here's the deal with this thing. If you don't put the SD card in, there are a bunch of games, about 60 of them that you can see on the menu here, that all look like they are custom either for this console or perhaps are just some generic games that they might have found someplace for whatever hardware this is running. So on the surface, it almost looks relatively legitimate. So this game is called Dragon, and this is pretty much it. There's not much to these games. I found that the ones that don't appear to be copyright violations are really simple games. I'm running a couple on screen right now so you can get a feel for what some of the other titles look like. This feels like NES hardware, so I'm not sure if maybe they just hacked existing ROMs or maybe they just, again, found some games somewhere that they could include here. But what happens next is when the SD card is inserted. So I'm going to switch it off here and take that 512 meg card and put it in the top of the system here. And when you turn it on with the card inserted, it becomes a different system. And as you can see, we've got a whole different menu here. And this is where things get problematic. So if I go into Action, we've got now a bunch more games. And if I go to, for example, Double Dragon, we're getting the NES version of Double Dragon, copyright 1988 by Technos. In other words, we're just playing the ROM file here. And so this is another one of these pirate consoles that includes games that they're not authorized to include. So I would say this shouldn't even be sold on Amazon right now, given the fact that they are bundling copyrighted games that they haven't properly licensed. And that's just one of them. I can hit the reset button here and see what else is on there. You also note everything is widescreen, and it puts this really weird filter on it as well. So there are certainly better ways to enjoy some of your classic NES games than on this console. A Raspberry Pi, kind of a DIY kind of thing will be better, but again, we've got now a Japanese version, it looks like, of 1944, a Capcom game that was originally for the NES, but it doesn't look very good on this console with everything stretched out and filtered. So I think you can do a lot better than this thing, although it was kind of cool. I thought maybe it would have some promise given that it's such a weird-looking game console, but at the end of the day, this is something that I would skip. So that is going to do it for this tech haul. We'll come back and do some more in the near future as soon as I get more stuff to show you. So we got some good stuff this time, but a couple of duds here like the Boombox pirated game console. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Logic KGR, Tom Albrecht, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/s.